I don't know what it is about the Warlock class, whether we're talking Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, even Dungeons & Dragons. This class has always spoken to me, and in World of Warcraft it has been my main since pretty much when I first started playing. I love the aesthetic of summoning demons and these spells that hurt you to hurt your opponent more. This concept of paying life to become more powerful, selling your soul for power. Not something I'd do in real life, but definitely something I enjoy on the role-playing level. Even when I used to play Magic the Gathering, Rakdos and Gruul were kind of my main type of playstyle, something that's quite aggressive. I don't care if I get damaged on the route, as long as I pull you down too, and that is what I'm going to be showing you all today. Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie, and in today's video I'm going to be taking you through the Curse Imp deck, a deck that I am currently climbing through gold with at a rate of knots. I have just been slamming opponents side out of the way with this. I've been having such a good fun time. It is slightly more on the more expensive side of things, it having 6 legendaries that you'll need to craft for it, but I kind of think it's worth it, and I hope you do too. So here is the deck itself, and of course I cannot claim credit for this. This is a net deck that I have tweaked a little bit just to get it to exactly where I like it. It has 2 basic things going on. First of all, as the name would suggest, curses. Now, there are things called abyssal curses in Hearthstone at the moment. Essentially, some cards will tell you, give your opponent an abyssal curse. For example, here, dragged below, deal 4 damage to a minion, give your opponent an abyssal curse. Now, the first time they get a curse, it is a card that will deal 1 damage to them at the start of their turn. It lasts 2 turns, or they can cast it for 2 cost to get it out of their hand. But they get bigger. The second time you give someone an abyssal curse, it will deal 2 damage to them at the start of their turn. The third one will deal 3, the fourth one will deal 4, and so on so forth. So the more of these that you hand to your opponent, the more damage they start doing later on. And this provides some truly terrifying endgame scenarios, as we'll talk about later. The second thing this deck has going on, again, as the name would suggest, is imps. There are a lot of different imp abilities in here that are going to give you some really big imps to play with, or just swarms of little ones. Things to bring your imps back, things to make your imps stronger. It's just imps all over the place, and then of course we've got some really nice powerful removal that triggers with those as well. So let's have a look at the costs in ramp order. So starting with the 1 costs, Flame Imp. It's a 3/2 creature for 1 mana with a battle cry of deal 3 damage to your hero. Now, of course, a lot of people go, 3 damage to your hero? What, why would you do that? You're hurting yourself. To those people, I say, Warlock is the wrong class for you. Stop watching this video right now. And if you are still here, hit like, would really help me out. The second card is a Flustered Librarian, +1 attack for each imp you control. It's a 1/3 for 1, and of course you know there's going to be a lot of imps in this deck. She is going to get really quite big. That Flame Imp as well, great little turn 1, it's a 3/2 creature, can be a bit tricky to remove that early in the game, so you should get 2 or 3 swings out of it. That's anywhere between 3 and 9 damage in the first couple of turns, just from this 1 cost. That is, and even then, if it doesn't swing, it's going to cause your opponent to spend some time and mana to remove it. The Flustered Librarian, again, a lot of people will see this on the first turn and try to get rid of it as soon as possible, because if it comes out on turn 1 and you drop an imp on turn 2, this gets bigger, right? And it's no longer got its sleepiness, it can just attack and deal damage, and it's only going to get bigger. So again, it's one of those things that early on, even if you do lose it, don't stress. You've taken away some of your opponent's removal abilities, you've slowed down them doing what they want to do, because they've had to deal with what you are actually doing. We then come into the removal category. The first one, Grimoire of Sacrifice. Destroy a friendly minion, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. Again, you're going to lose a creature in the process, but a 1 cost that deals 2 damage to all enemy minions is just really, really powerful. Especially since you're probably going to have a whole ton of 1/1 imps kicking around all over the place. Nice and easy just to kill off one of those. Losing a 1/1 creature to deal 2 damage to everything that they command, really powerful. Touch of the Nethrizim, again, deal 2 damage to a minion. If it dies, restore 3 health to your hero. It's a 1 cost to deal 2 damage. Great at removing some of those small threats early on. I'm looking at you, Iron Deep Trog, and stuff like that you just want to get rid of nice and quickly and easily before it starts becoming a problem. Touch of the Nethrizim does it, and it heals you as well. You can look at things like Mortal Coil here as well. I just think Touch of the Nethrizim does it better. And finally then, Wicked Shipment. This makes for an interesting card to have on turn 1, and if this is in my hand, I tend to hold onto it for my starting hand. It's a tradable card, which means you can swap it into your deck and draw another card, and when you play it, it will summon 2 1/1 imps. Unless you trade it, then when you draw it again, it will summon 4 1/1 imps, unless you trade it again, and then it'll come back and summon 6 1/1 imps. I've never seen the need to pump it all the way up to 6. It just seems pointless at that point in time, because your board can only carry 7 minions at a time, so you're going to need 1 creature only on your board, otherwise you're going to be wasting some of those imps. I usually trade this on the first turn, unless my opponent goes first and starts putting out some creatures. It depends on the deck you're up against, really, whether you play this just to get the 2 1/1 imps, or whether you first turn trade it so that it's a 4 1/1 imps for 1 sitting in your deck waiting to come out later. Kind of up to you, depends on what you're up against. If you're up against someone who is really aggro-y, Demon Hunters for example, getting those extra imps out early can be a nice little defense, but if you're going up against someone, again, like Demon Hunters, who do actually have a lot of rush, you might want to rethink that. Consider what your opponent's going to do, what kind of things they might be playing, as to whether you play that on turn 1 or whether you trade it to buff those words. Those are the words I'm looking for. Please subscribe, it'll help get my head out of a twist. Moving on to the 2 costs, Impending Catastrophe. See the pun there? Imp ending catastrophe. Draw a card, repeat for each imp you control. You do need to be careful with this. You're going to have a lot of imps on the board. It is entirely possible to fill your hand and end up losing powerful cards. I've done this and literally lost some of my legendaries. You've just got to be careful. Count your cards, count how many you're going to draw. Remember, it is draw a card, then repeat for each imp you control. So even if you don't have any imps, it's going to draw 1 card. If you've got 3 imps, you're going to draw 4, and so on. Remember to add that 1. Very useful later in the game for refilling your hand. Quite nice early on. Sometimes even if you've only got 1 or 2 imps out, that 2 mana just to fill your hand gives you options. Vile Library. Oh boy, the fun you can have with this. Give a friendly minion +1/+1 for each imp you control. Right, now remember I said I've never really seen the need to buff this all the way up to 6. Now imagine you play 6 imps, 6 1/1 imps, and then you use the Vile Library to give one of them +1/+1 for each imp you control. That now means that one of those 1/1 is now a 7/7. You have spent 3 mana to create a 7/7 and 5 1/1s. Like, that's just terrifying. Of course, this is a location, so it takes up a slot for your minions, so you can only have 6 minions out when you've got one of these. You can do that +1/+1 at any time in your turn, on any of your creatures. Doesn't have to be on an imp, can be any friendly minion. Do be aware that once you've used it, there is a 2-turn cooldown before you can use it again. The second time you use it, of course, the library goes away. Bran Bronzebeard, what do I need to say? Battle Cries trigger twice, we'll talk about him later. Dragged Below. Deal 4 damage to a minion, give your opponent an Abyssal Curse. 4 damage to a minion is really nice in general because it's going to help with removing some of those bigger threats that are starting to come out, but also giving your own opponent an Abyssal Curse, doesn't matter if it's early in the game or late in the game, starting it early, even if they can just get it out of their hand, is still really powerful for the simple fact it starts amplifying the future curses. You kind of want to get some of these out fairly quickly, don't waste it for sure. Like, I've seen people genuinely kill off their own minions to do this, and I just don't see the point. Play it in a later turn, play something else for now. Unless there's literally nothing else you can do, then fair point. Giving those curses and starting that ramp early can be really powerful. Nice bit of removal there as well. Fiendish Circle. Summon 4 1/1 imps. What do I need to say? It's a worse version of the Wicked Shipment. Obviously, Wicked Shipment, you do have to trade it and then get it back. It'll still be 1 cost for 4 1/1 imps, whereas Fiendish Circle, it's 3 for 4 1/1 imps. But hey, it's a guarantee that, you know, you've got it there later on, and it's just more imps for this deck. Syracuse Cultist, Battle Cry, give your opponent an Abyssal Curse. If you can play this with Bran out, oh boy, great. Giving your opponent 2 Abyssal Curses. If it's the first curse, they've got a -1 and a -2, which means on their turn they're going to take 3 damage. They've got 2 cards in their hand they don't want, which may cause them to fill their hand. Big part with the Abyssal Curses, something I don't see enough people doing. Watch when your opponent is sitting at 9 cards in their hand. Give them an Abyssal Curse. Watch as it deals a point of damage to them at the start of their turn, and whatever card they draw then gets burned because there's no space in their hand. It's hilarious, it's evil, it is oh so totally Warlock. But hey, if you play this with Bran, it's a -1 and a -2, they're going to take 3 damage, they've got 2 cards to get rid of out their hand, and they need to deal with Bran to stop him doing it again next turn if you've got another one of these. Later in the game, if it's the 4th time you've played an Abyssal Curse, that's a 4 and a 5, that's 9 total damage at the start of their next turn, and 2 cards they need to get rid of out of their hand. Absolutely evil. Tamsin Roam, she's a bit of a fun one, this. She is a 1/3 creature for 3, and whenever you cast a shadow spell that costs 1 or more, add a copy to your hand that costs 0. We have seen some shadow spells already with Dragged Below, so you play Dragged Below with Tamsin on the board, you then get another Dragged Below that costs 0. Great way to magnify your spells, repeat them. That's 2 Abyssal Curses and 8 damage, theoretically for the cost of 3 mana, and there are other spells that will twin off that later as well. The Mischievous Imp Battlecry, summon a copy of this, infuse, summon 2. So if you've watched 3 things die with this in your hand, 3 things of yours die with this in your hand, you are summoning 3 3/3 imps for 4 mana. And again, twinned with the Vial Library and some of the other imps you've got, you can pump these bad boys up really, really powerfully. Lady Darkvein, Battlecry, summon 2 2/1 shades, each gains a death rattle to cast your last shadow spell. Cast something like, I don't know, Dragged Below, and then cast Lady Darkvein. She's now got 2 2/1 shades. When they die, Dragged Below gets cast again. Oh yeah, sometimes that will backfire a little bit, though it's worth noting, because Dragged Below is deal 4 damage to a minion. If they have no minions left, if for example they killed the Shade and sacrificed their own creature to do so, it may take out one of your own, but again, this can be useful just for that Abyssal Curse. Then we have Zakul, one of the servants of the old gods. 6/5 for 5. Your Abyssal Curses heal you for the damage they deal. Battlecry, give your opponent an Abyssal Curse. If you can get this with Bran, even better, because this will come out, gives them 2 curses, and then at the start of your next turn, they take the damage from those curses, and you heal that up. I've seen some truly terrifying plays from this, where I've saved a couple of the Dragged Below from Tamsin Roam. I've played both of those. I've then dropped Bran Bronzebeard and Zakul, and I've one-hit KO'd someone from 30 while I'm down on 3 health, and I end up being right back at the top of the health. It's insanely powerful. A lot of fun combo there. Yeah, with Bran especially, very funny. Abyssal Waves, deal 4 damage to all minions, which does include your own. Give your opponent an Abyssal Curse. Absolutely hilarious if you've still got Lady Darkvein's ones there, and they're going to be giving Abyssal Curses as well. You just wipe your own side of the board, most of your opponent's side of the board, and just everything dies and they end up with 6 curses in their hand. Then next turn you drop Zakul and just laugh. 2 of those in the deck as well. Nice bit of removal, but it's mainly about those Abyssal Curses. Dreadlich Tamsin, Battlecry, deal 3 damage to all minions, again includes your own. Shuffle 3 rifts into your deck and draw 3 cards. The rifts are these things where it's a 3/3 imp. It gets shuffled into your deck. When you draw it, it gets played, and then you draw another card to replace it. So you don't lose out on anything, you just get a free 3/3 imp when you draw that card, which is really powerful. And her Chains of Dread ability, shuffle a rift into your deck and then draw a card. It is basically the standard Warlock draw a card, but instead of it costing 2 mana and 2 life, it's just the 2 mana, and you might get a 3/3 imp out of it as well. Really, really powerful. And of course, she gives you 5 armor as well. I like to try and play her fairly early, because that ability to draw a card can be really useful. And again, just having a 3/3 imp suddenly appear on the board at the start of your turn, or every time you go to draw a card from any other source, can be so much fun, and it all helps boost up your other imps too. Finally then, Imp King Rafam, 6/6 for 6 with Battle Cry Resurrect for friendly imps. Make sure that 4 friendly imps have died this game before you play him, and hopefully he's been in your hand while 5 of your creatures have died, because then every imp on the board, including the 4 that he's just summoned, get +2/+2. That is brilliant. I've sat there before with a fairly large flame imp that got boosted up earlier and was never killed off. I've brought then Imp King Rafam down. He summons his 4 imps around him. You've got him in the middle. You've then got this big guy on the side, and then I drop a Vial Library for that 7th slot and just buff up one of those creatures to something utterly insane. He can almost be an endgame condition in his own, but most of your endgame is going to be through either just the Abyssal Curses or just overwhelming imp damage. Anyway, enough talk, let's show this in action. This is actually one of my favourite games that I've played in a while. It was a lot of fun, and the ending, oh my goodness, stick around for the ending, it was poetry. So my opening hand here, I'm okay with. Wicked Shipment is a nice one. Again, I can either trade it or I can play it. I've got a Flame Imp, depending on what they play. Vial Library for turn 2, Dragged Below for turn 3, and a bit of removal. I also love Jiraxstein, just the way his emotes are that, I greet you, everything's bold capitals, and yeah, just brilliant. Anyway, it's a mage deck I'm up against. 1/3 comes out, they draw a spell. If I pick which one they chose, I get it as well. It's pretty obvious which one they've gone here. It's going to be the Cone of Cold, really, isn't it? And yep, it is the Cone of Cold. Cool, that's now in my hand, I can use it for future. It's only a 1/3, it's no point me putting like anything out really. At this point I'm going to take 1 damage. Let's trade that, make it bigger. I'm not going to use the Flame Imp because that 3 damage to my hero early is not really useful in this situation. And a 3/2, she's just going to half it next turn with the creature and then use her Flame Ball ability to finish it off. Kind of pointless taking the 3 damage just for something that's not going to come out. Oh, would you look at that? I just got the imp straight away on the second turn after I've drawn it, and that is the bigger version. So let's pull out the Vial Library for this turn. Can't do anything with it, so we're just going to have to sit and wait, but it's there. It's got the slot in place, and it means it's mana I don't have to worry about in a future turn. Farwatch Post, one of my most hated cards at the moment. Every time I draw a card, it costs 1 more until that creature is destroyed. That is why that Impending Catastrophe now costs 3. Cool. Let's bring out a load of big imps. I'm going to bring out the Flame Imp as well, and because I know she's got that deal 1 and to everything adjacent, I'm going to make sure it's not adjacent. I'm then going to make it bigger, I reckon, using the library. Yep, there we go. +4/+4, that is an 8/7 creature. That's how powerful the Vial Library can be. A load of 1/1 imps sitting over here. Can't attack with anything yet. Don't want to do anything just yet. I do love Jiraxstein's emotes. They genuinely make me so happy. And then comes the Reckless Apprentice. 4 mana, deals the mage ability to everything on the board. That's all of those imps gone, but oh well. At least we got the big buff out of it. I've still got an 8/6 creature sitting on my side of the board. You can see the Vial Library beginning to respawn there, or, you know, to refresh itself, whatever you want to call it. I still need to get rid of that tower, though, because it's costing me everything. Not really worth losing that big creature. Deal 4 damage to a minion and give them an Abyssal Curse. Cool, should we do that? Should we do that? I think that's probably the best option. Yeah, I'm not going to do the 2 to everything. It's just pointless. Deal 2 damage to a minion if it dies isn't enough on its own. Freeze a minion and minions next to it. There we go. That will do 1 damage to that and everything else. And then, I don't have enough. Yeah, destroy friendly minion. Let's use the coin. Yep, deal 2 damage to a minion if it dies for 2, because it's cost me, that's normally a 1 cost, it's cost me 2 thanks to that bloody post, but the post is now gone. Bye-bye post, I get to do my standard things from here on out. 8 damage from an imp there on turn 4, that's just fun. Nice big imp. What is she going to do? Frozen minions as well, a nice little bonus. That's all because of that card. I see a lot of mages get some really big spells early on, and it's like, thank you, I can actually use that myself. Really powerful. We've got a 4 health creature there. Dragged Below seems to work. Execute. Draw a spell from another class. It costs less. And she gets an execute. Nice. Drakefire Amulet trading away. 1 damage because there's nothing else to do with her mana. Okay, cool. Cool. That's absolutely fine. We can handle this. Let's have a look. We've got 4 and 3, that's 7, that's too much. Sadly, I was considering doing the Fiendish Circle and then the big boss, but also he's not invoked yet. But hey, 4 1/1 imps, and one of them's now 5/5. Let's destroy one of those to go pop across the board. Everything else loses a little. I'm not convinced that was the best move, but hey, it's reduced their damage right down at least. And I've got the dragged below for future turns. And heck, it's killed off a minion, which is better for my infuse. Yeah, there we go. That's 2 more. That's more infusion for me. And the Night Cloak Sand... Oh, I hate this thing. Freeze a minion and gain a 2/2 volatile skeleton that explodes for 2 damage when it dies. Okay, nothing I can do about it now though, but let's kill these guys off, get a bit of health back with Touch the Nathrizim. I could draw a card, 4 mana, yeah, let's get some more creatures out on the board, and you can see, because it's infused, I get 3 3/3 imps. Nice, couldn't attack because my 5/4 imp was frozen. But okay, oh boy, Bran Bronzebeard. I always get slightly concerned when Bran Bronzebeard comes out, especially this early, because what kind of combo are we looking at? And this is an unusual combo. To play a Bran Bronzebeard to double the battle cry of a single school teacher. It's like, school teacher's good, you get a couple of 1/1 creatures that cast some cool spells when they come out, but I'm not sure I would have Bran on it just yet, considering Bran is a big... He's a big target now, right? There's no way, this person knows there's no way I'm going to leave Bran on the table here. And yeah, straight away dragged below on Bran, just because that double battle cry is lethal, and there's the second Abyssal Curse of the game. That's going to deal 2 damage at the start of the turn, I think, if I'm keeping eyes on it right. And we're going to use Impending Catastrophe to draw a bucket load of cards. Some really nice options there. Let's attack the enemy. I could attack the skeleton, but it's going to deal 2 damage to something else, and it's just pointless. Like, let him kill it. I'm not going to kill it for him, let him kill it to get that death rattle. Do I want it? No, I'm going to do the trade instead. I'm tempted to deal the 2 damage, but like to everything, but it's not going to kill the school teacher. It's going to destroy the skeleton, and then it's probably going to take out, well, it's going to deal 2 damage to one of my creatures or to me, and I'd rather just let that be his problem for now. I've got a good set of cards in my hand, though. I'm quite happy with where this is going. It's a strong fight. Like, he may be lower health than I am, I think, but that could all change at a moment's notice. Yeah, 12 compared to 24, he's a lot lower than I am, but that could change at a moment's notice. Mage decks can do some really janky stuff. Here we are, Shooting Star, for example. Deal 1 damage to the minion and everything next to it. It's taken that right the way down to 1 mana on one of them. He's then just going to clear the board. Not the one I would have gone for, but hey, it kind of worked. I would have gone for the 3/2 personally, because it would have died and then dealt 2 damage, possibly to the 3/1, killing it, taking off 2 creatures in 1 turn. But he's got other plans, wants to use a First Flame. Cool, let him. It's more cards out of his hand. Is he going to get rid of the curse, or is he going to leave the curse in his hand? Yeah, he's got rid of the curse. Cool. Abyssal Curse out of his hand, so that he doesn't take damage from it again next turn. Now, which one did he play? Oh yeah, it was First Flame, because he literally played it. Now I've got that in my hand to use as well. Thank you. Love that mage card. Deal 4 damage to all minions, give your opponent an Abyssal. That's going to wipe the board. I've got no creatures on the board. He's now got an Abyssal Curse. Nice. Always happy to give an Abyssal Curse. And yeah, let's put the Librarian out. He's seen that I've got imps. He's seen that I've got this Librarian. He's going to be making sure that does not survive the turn, and that is a powerful, powerful head tool, in that he is basically going to do whatever he can to get rid of that. Or, I reckon, it's a distraction is what I'm trying to get at. Oh, Caligos. Nasty dragon. Next spell, well, first spell each turn costs 0. That's very, very powerful. It's a 4/12 creature. That's hard to remove. Fortunately, I don't necessarily have to. Rune of the Archmage. I love and hate this card, and you'll see why here, I think. Oh, choose a minion. When it dies, deal 3 damage to everything else. Freeze a minion. Oh, well, deal 3 damage to all minions. That's including his own, and the explosion then did it. Snap Freeze. It's got no legal target other than his own minion, so he's frozen it himself. Nice. That did more to him than it did to me. And here we now have some fun going on. I could wait a turn or so, but we're just going to start this off. There we are. That is 2 Abyssal Curses, into that person's hand on top of the one I've already given them, plus the Abyssal Curses are then going to heal me. Yeah, let's just do some damage to something. He gave me a free card, I may as well use it, right? Now, I know Bran isn't going to survive this, but here go all of those Abyssal Curses, and oh, would you look at that, he's on 1 health, I'm all the way back up on 30. All thanks to that one thing, and he's got 2 curses in his hand, those are guaranteed to kill him next turn. So he is going to need to get rid of those. Annoyingly, playing an Abyssal Curse counts towards this creature. Deal 4 random damage, and getting rid of the curses actually counts. That feels wrong, but hey, it backfired a little bit on me. Deal damage to a minion, yep, Bran's gone. That's the end of everything there. 4 more damage to me. What else is going to happen? Swing with the creatures. Repeat the last spell you come across the cast 5 or more. Again, I've got no creatures, so if anything hits a creature, it's hitting his own stuff here. Summons the 3/3 snowman that freezes. Pyroblast for 10 damage to me. That's a nice draw. And deal 3 damage to all minions. Congratulations, you killed one of your minions and lost a load. It's why I really don't like that card. It's too random and there's too much going on. But there we are. That is the end of this person's turn. I'm on 9 health. He's on 1. Can I pull this back at this point? Oh, and 2 more dragons. A 12/12 dragon there as well. Let's just take a look through my hand at the moment. I'm kind of playing here a little bit. It's like, oh, I could play this, I could play that. I've won. I know I've won. Just got to find the card in my hand. It's there. Battle Cry. Give your opponent an Abyssal Curse. Yeah. Literally nothing he can do. He's going to take the damage at the start of his turn. End my turn. Game. And there we have it, the Curse Imp deck in action. That was a really fun game. I really enjoyed that little taunt that he gives at the end because, hey, look at all my big creatures, followed by just, yeah, hi, here, have a curse. Just felt so good. It was a really well fought battle. I really enjoyed it. There was so much going on there. A lot of me draining my life all the way down, only to come right the way back. Very, very fun game, and that is why I love Warlocks, because even hurting yourself, yeah, you bring yourself close to death, and there are times when I've, like, life-tapped one too many times and essentially brought myself into that danger area where my opponent can kill me in 1 turn, and does, and it's like, well, if I hadn't done that, I would still be alive. But that's part of the fun of Warlock. It is competitive. I've been climbing like a rocket with this deck. Give it a try. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Otherwise, folks, happy saying, and see you all next time.